Today, I'll examine how governments control and censor technology and how those policies shape the digital lives of citizens. We'll consider the ways states restrict access, monitor online activity, and influence the information people can create, receive, and share. The central question is what this means for business in a connected world. Companies must operate within different regulatory environments while managing risks related to access, privacy, communication, and compliance. Together, these issues show why government technology policy is also an important business concept. Governments seek to control technology for several different reasons, and those reasons can be defensive, political, or social. National security is one major driver. Regulation may aim to prevent espionage, cyber attacks, and information warfare. Political control is another, particularly when authorities use technology to suppress dissent or reinforce the ruling party's authority. Finally, governments may pursue social stability by managing public narratives and limiting what they define as misinformation. Understanding these motivations helps businesses anticipate how technology policies may develop in different political environments. China's internet model is built around extensive control over both access and information flow. The Great Firewall blocks major global platforms, including Google, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp, while directing citizens toward a government-approved domestic ecosystem. Services such as WeChat, Baidu, and Weibo provide familiar online functions, but operate under strict state oversight. For businesses, this environment means more than adapting to a different market. They must comply with local data laws and often rely on state-approved platforms, fundamentally reshaping how they plan technology, communication, and operations in China. Governments use several methods to control digital spaces, and each limits access, visibility, or coordination in a different way. Internet filtering blocks specific websites, apps, or services through national firewalls or internet providers. Mass surveillance uses AI and data analytics to monitor communications, browsing, and social media activity. Data localization laws require companies to store citizens' data on domestic servers, increasing government access and control. Finally, internet shutdowns cut connectivity during protests, elections, or unrest, making it harder for people to organize and for events to be independently reported. Technology control exists on a broad global spectrum, shaped by both geography and regime type. At one end are more open access democracies, where technology is generally available and regulation tends to be targeted. At the other are fully closed systems, where the state may control the internet and digital infrastructure directly. The key takeaway for businesses is that technology markets cannot be evaluated separately from politics. Before entering a new country, companies need thorough political risk assessments, because digital systems often reflect and reinforce the governing philosophy. This timeline shows how Russia's control over digital communication tightened in stages. In 2014, the Bloggers Law introduced registration requirements for sites reaching more than 3,000 daily readers. In 2019, the Sovereign Internet Law created the ability to disconnect Russia from the global web. After the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter were blocked. Since 2023, VPN providers have been ordered to block services, and VPN usage itself has been criminalized. The overall pattern is a shift from regulation toward isolation and direct control. Internet shutdowns are more than a communications problem. They're a direct business risk. Over 180 shutdowns were documented globally in a single year, according to Access Now, with countries such as India, Iran, Ethiopia, and Myanmar using them during civil unrest. The immediate impact is lost revenue, because e-commerce and digital services can stop without warning. Supply chains also suffer when real-time logistics and coordination become unavailable. Over time, uncertainty can weaken investor confidence and discourage foreign direct investment, making disruption costly well beyond the shutdown itself. China's social credit system illustrates how surveillance technology can directly shape daily life and business operations. It combines AI, facial recognition, and big data to evaluate citizen behavior, with low scores potentially leading to travel bans, restricted internet access, or exclusion from financial services. For companies operating in China, the same environment means employee behavior, corporate conduct, and data handling may all face scoring and scrutiny. Multinational firms must prepare employees and adapt HR policies for markets where surveillance is deeply integrated into compliance. This slide draws a distinction between regulation and censorship in Western democracies. Governments still shape how technology operates, but generally through transparent laws and institutions. Examples include GDPR, which limits how companies collect and use personal data, antitrust actions, which address monopolistic behavior, and content moderation laws, which require platforms to remove illegal material within defined timeframes. The key distinction is accountability. Democratic regulation can be challenged in court and debated publicly, while authoritarian censorship is imposed unilaterally with far less transparency or recourse. Operating in a restricted environment requires more than evaluating market potential. Leadership must weigh three interconnected risks: legal compliance, ethical exposure, and operational continuity. Before entering, the organization needs a clear understanding of local data, content, and licensing requirements. It should also consider whether compliance with surveillance or access rules could conflict with its corporate values. Finally, contingency planning is essential. Teams need practical resilience measures for possible shutdowns, service interruptions, or loss of access. Each path carries different legal, reputational, and financial consequences, so the decision should be deliberate and well documented. The key takeaway is that digital control is global and every government shapes access in some way. Before entering a market, assess political risk, censorship, and data laws. Compliance can raise ethical conflicts, so leadership must stay deliberate and adaptive as regulations evolve.